Welcome back. In this video, we will briefly discuss one of the important novels of Joseph Conrad, The Nigger of the Narcissus. The Nigger of the Narcissus is a novel by Joseph Conrad published in 1897. The central character is an Afro-Caribbean man who is ill at the sea while aboard the trading ship Narcissus heading towards London. Controversy around the use of the word nigger in the title saw the US name changed in 1897 and a 2009 version titled The N-Word of the Narcissus. Because of the novella's superb quality, compared to Conrad's earlier works, some critics have described it as marking the start of the Conrad's major or middle period. Others have placed it as the best work of his early period. Conrad's preface to the novel, regarded as a manifesto of literary impressionism, is considered one of his most significant pieces of non-fiction writing. It begins with the line, "A work that aspires, however humbly, to the condition of art should carry its justification in every line." So now let us briefly discuss the plot of the novel. The title character, James Waite, is a dying West Indian black sailor on board the merchant ship Narcissus, on which he finds passage from Bombay to London. Suffering from tuberculosis, Waite becomes seriously ill almost from the outset, eliciting suspicion from much of the crew, though his ostensible plight arouses the humanitarian sympathies of many. The ship's white master, Captain Allistown, and an old white sailor named Singleton remain concerned primarily with their duties and appear indifferent to Waite's condition. Rounding the Cape of Good Hope, the ship capsizes onto her beam ends during a sudden gale, and half her hull is submerged, with many of the crew's rations and personal belongings lost. The men cling onto the deck for an entire night and day, waiting in silence for the ship to turn over the rest of the way and sink. Allistown refuses to allow the mast to be served, which might allow the hull to right itself but would prevent the ship from making use of her sails. 5 of the men, realizing that Waite is unaccounted for, climb down to his cabin and rescue him at their own peril. When the storm passes and a wind returns, Allistown directs the weary men to catch the wind, which succeeds in righting the ship. The voyage resumes, but eventually drifts into the doldrums, where the headwinds diminish and the ship is becalmed for many days. Rations grew more scarcer, and the men become anxious to return home. Waite eventually confesses to a lazy Cockney sailor named Donkin that he is not as sick as he first claimed, that he is feeling illness to avoid having to participate in the laborious work required of ever-healthy seamen. Many others had already grown suspicious of him, and Captain Allistown reveals Waite's charade before the entire crew. Waite claims he feels well enough now to work, but the captain orders that he to be confined to the forecastle for the remainder of the voyage, a decision which quickly polarizes much of the crew between Waite's supporters and detractors. Allistown prevents a near mutiny encouraged by the convening Donkin. Forced to stay able, Waite grows increasingly frail as his condition deteriorates. The ship continues to drift without a breeze, and some of the crew, including Singleton, begins to whisper that Waite himself is responsible and that only his death will bring favorable winds. As the ship passes the Azores and Waite nears death, Donkin discreetly plunders Waite's personal belongings from his sea chest. Waite eventually succumbs and dies, the first proof that he was genuinely ill. This occurs within sight of land as Singleton had predicted, and a strong wind returns immediately after Waite's body is committed to the sea. The Narcissus soon arrives in England.